We'll go ahead and call the Budget Committee to order. We do have minutes from May 27th.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any questions or concerns? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. Is there any public comment?
Lauren Breeze, County Commissioner, District 18. I have a comment based on the meeting that we had last night. If you weren't, you all were here, but I tried to bring up a topical piece of information and potentially make a motion based on what we were discussing last night at the budget meeting, and I was told that because it wasn't on the agenda, that we couldn't even discuss it. And then I was told that we could possibly discuss it at new business, but at that point, we couldn't vote on anything. So that didn't feel right to me. So this morning, I reached out to the Office of Open Records with the Comptroller's Office and asked them, would you please give me your opinion? At which point they watched the meeting, and a gentleman, Seth May, who's Assistant General Counsel at the Comptroller of the Treasury, actually emailed me, and this is the email I will read to you. At a public meeting in Wilson County on May 27th, 2025, you were advised that you could not bring a motion because the motion was not on the meeting agenda. To the best of my knowledge, this is a recording of the meeting in question. He put a link in, and your motion was brought up at approximately 23:30 within the video itself. You were advised you could not put forth your motion at that time, and you were further advised that while you could bring up your motion during the new business portion of the meeting, it could not be voted on. The Tennessee Open Meetings Act, TOMA, at Tennessee Code Annotated 844-110, requires that a local government body post a meeting agenda at least 48 hours in advance. Under 110B, a governing body may still deliberate or act upon matters not listed on the agenda of its regular meeting, if it follows its bylaws or properly adopts rules and procedures and complies with all other applicable state laws. Based on my review of the recording, your motion appeared relevant to the topic being discussed. If that topic was listed on the agenda, which it was, we were approving the school budget, and the insurance fund is part of the school budget. While not specifically listed, could have been considered without violating TOMA. Additionally, even if your motion wasn't directly related to an agenda item, 110 allows non-agenda items to be addressed, providing procedural and legal requirements are followed. Finally, 110C includes a caveat advising that government bodies should not circumvent the spirit of the notice requirement in 110. I have seen no indication that this was your intent. I've attached a copy of 110. I've also attached a copy of an amendment to 110 that's in effect but not yet codified. So if you look further into the packet, you can see TCA 844-110, Section B states, a state governing body or local government legislative body may deliberate or act upon matters not listed on the agenda of its regular meeting if the body follows its bylaws or properly adopted rules and procedures and complies with all other applicable state laws. And as it was stated before, the opinion was that the topic that I attempted to bring up was actually attached to the agenda itself. So I just wanted to make this clear. It seems like we are having a real hard time with what we're supposed to do. I know there's a training that's scheduled for June 10th at 10 a.m. I think that we should all be there. It's actually going to be taught by the Council of Open Records, who are the ones who sent this legal opinion. So I just wanted to share this information since it happened last night under our watch. Thank you.
Is there any further public comment? Okay, and we'll proceed. Our first order of business tonight is to look at our needs list and determine if,
We approved these,
already did.
didn't we? You're right. Carry on. Need more?
The first two things on the needs list listed is circuit court clerk and clerk and master. And after reaching out to these two departments, those needs will be addressed as needed later on in the year. The sheriff needs list, as he stated when he presented them, that he knew that those were not going to be addressed at this point in time. But we can go ahead and approve the SRO, because that's going to be flow-through money anyway.
Motion to approve that.
Second.
Okay, there's a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Then there's, I'm going to skip down the solid waste. If I understand this correctly, this is coming out of her budget. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, so we can approve that as well at this time if you want to.
Motion to approve.
Okay, we do have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, motion and a second. Discussion. All in favor, say aye.
Yeah.
Any opposed? Okay, the other two items are related to capital projects. We got motor vehicle for animal control, and then we got a $300,000 contribution for Watertown turntable. Is there a motion related to the motor vehicle?
I'd make a motion to deny based on, we let it be known we weren't granting needs to anyone. If they sometime during the year need a vehicle, if one goes down, we'll address it at that time. We purchased 2 new vehicles in the last 2 years, I think, for.
I don't think we've purchased one since our new director has come on.
But still, they bought 2 new vehicles in the
right,
last
I
2
agree.
years.
I agree with that. And I think also, I know there's a lot of miles on 1 or 2 of them, but I don't think it's an absorbent amount of.
Well, that's,
But I agree with you. So there's a motion to deny. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, there's a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye. Any opposed? Okay. Concerning the $300,000 contribution for the turntable, personally, I'd like to see this one go on through, but with pending, with understanding that it's pending on all other stated contributions have come through.
are you putting that in for a motion,
Yeah, I'll put that in form of a motion.
or I'll second it?
Okay, motion and a second to go along with the contribution pending all other contributions are made that are currently been agreed upon. Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. Okay, is that everything on this sheet? Okay, do we need to do anything else with that before we move on? Okay. Review the budget. Aaron, I'll turn it over to you.
Yeah, so you were passed out a few replacement pages from what you got last night. I will explain that to you real quickly. page 3 of the revenues, the page numbers got chopped off at the bottom, but the one that starts charges for current services, there was a slight change to miscellaneous refunds, which, as we did in the budget workshop, that's where the turn back money is accounted for at largely. So there was a little change there. There was a change on page 20, which is also the numbers, all these numbers chopped off at the bottom. I apologize. What happened there where HR and finance combined, the HR portion of the budget failed to come forward into our budget, we discovered. So we needed to combine those so we would have enough money. So we've added their budget lines into ours as needed. Some of them we cut. And then last one was on page 44 was libraries. And that has to do, again, with the pay plan. We had to make some adjustments based on the pay plan for the libraries. So then the last page just that we gave you was the last page of the general fund, which goes through the fund balances and everything. In addition, I handed out revenues in the book that I gave you last night, 151 and 121, the revenue pages weren't in there. So we've added those. And then Fund 122 and 189. So that's the additional handouts that you have. As far as the budget itself, there are no new positions in this budget. This is the budget that you guys basically instructed us to prepare, which is the 4% adjustment to the table plus the 2% step. The insurance goes from 11,629 to 13,622, 226, 13,226, sorry. And that makes up the 1.4 million that's going into the insurance fund. We have added the litigation tax at 400,000, which we'll need to pass. All the growth money in the general fund is going for the pay and the insurance. We've also taken 1.7 million and moved it into interest income, moved it into the general fund. So that's, and adjustment to hotel motel tax. So that's the synopsis of the budget. You're welcome to look at any of them in detail that you want to, but there's no new positions or anything, obviously.
After having a whole day to look at this, does anybody have any questions or concerns relating to the budget? And I'm just going to, I think you've already stated this, but I'm going to ask it anyway.
Sure.
In looking through, I just noticed that there's some of the line items and some of the departments are much larger than they were the previous year or two previous.
Yep.
But yet you're stating that all the additional dollars is related to employee expenditures.
No, let me explain better. What you're looking at, the original budget that I gave you for status quo was budget versus budget versus budget. This is audited 24, estimated actual numbers for 25, and budget for 26. So you're not looking at budget versus budget anymore. Now you're looking at budget versus actual. So where you see larger numbers in the budget, that shows you where the money wasn't spent. Now, if you want to see where that I account for that money coming back, it's on page 3 in miscellaneous refunds. It's over $6 million.
Anybody else have something, questions or concerns? Okay, I assume we have reviewed the budget. Now we need a motion to approve the budget.
Motion to approve.
Is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the budget. All in favor say aye.
No.
Any opposed? Before we move on, is there any other business that relating to the budget that needs to be brought up at this time? Probably should have done that before then.
I need to say thank you to my staff, in particular Ms. Horton, who's here tonight. You know, we're still adjusting to the pay plan and how to function with it. We thought ClearGov was going to be our answer. It's not. HR, you know, had a system that they felt like was going to be the answer. It's not. So when we say that we've spent countless hours looking at a roster versus what they're being paid in Skyward and being sure that that matches, and in some cases it didn't, and then figuring out what step and grade that is, and all this in Excel, we spent a good solid week, and she spent time at home, and all that has to be done before we can even start compiling these numbers in a budget. You know, Lauren helped, Shelley helped, Joe helped. I mean, but when it comes down to it, we don't want too many hands in it because you just lose track of where you are. So I really depend on her a great deal, and she does a great job, and I just want to have an opportunity to say that. Thank her for her hard work.
Thank you, Lauren.
You're welcome.
Mike, I thought Lauren was going to bring up something else. Is this concerning what she was wanting to do? What was it, a total of 5 million?
5.
That she is wanting to place in insurance fund, part of it for county, part of it for education. Were we wrong in how we handled that situation yesterday?
Depends on who you talk to. I will tell you that I would have given the same opinion last night that you and the mayor gave. And the open records people may very well be right. It appears to me that the legislature has passed something down there and told us what to do with the agenda, and now everybody's backing off of it some, and that's okay. But as I had, and Lauren and I discussed it today, as I told her, there are a couple of reasons I would have gone that way. Number one is if somebody should challenge an action that we took and it's not going on the agenda, saying you violated the open meetings law, and win that, it's void. And that could create a problem for your budget preparation because you got to go back and fix some things. Now, that's a long shot, okay? The second thing is I always say, not always, y'all probably not heard me say this, but if we make a mistake and we get sued, nobody from the state comes to defend you. I've got to do that. So I'm always going to err on the side of caution if I err. And so I would have erred last night if an error occurred the same way y'all did. Now, this kind of leaves it up in the air as to what you can do on the agenda. You know, we met and we sent out this long communique to everybody saying, if you want something on the agenda, get it on there.
Okay,
It's an emergency.
my question is, concerning the email that went out, was that approved by the Rules Committee?
No.
Okay, should it be?
Only if you want to make it rule.
Because the other, what was written in here, it says, could act upon the matter, blah, 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 if it follows bylaws and properly adopted rules. So I don't know if it's in our bylaws or or adopted rules, but, in writing, but it has been put in writing to us in the form of an email about what we should be doing. So,
That was more my opinion, based on the statute
yeah,
that they passed down there. And hearing from one individual who felt like that we were not being open enough with our agendas. And to me, it's easily fixed. If you want something considered, get it on the agenda. You know, if you're thinking about spending $5 million, that's not something that you just come up with while you're sitting here. You know, you think about it, so get it on the agenda. That's the way to handle that, and nobody has to worry about it.
yeah, that was my opinion,
But now, there is a provision in there that if there's an emergency, and we've done that a couple of times in this committee, I think it was somebody that needed a vehicle, it was the vehicle, the WEMA director was driving his own vehicle.
yeah.
And I felt like that was an emergency. I mean, he shouldn't have to do that, don't you think he should? But, and there's provision for that. So, I assume you're talking about the procedural part of it, about how it came up last night.
Yes, sir.
And that's just the way I view it. I can't say I'm right and open records people are wrong, or vice versa. There's not as much clarity on the agenda item now as I thought there was
Okay,
60 days ago.
all right. Well, thank you very much.
Maybe like, you remember the Supreme Court Justice defined pornography, said, I'll know it when I see it.
Yeah.
Maybe this way too, I know it when I see it. It's in the agenda.
Aaron, what is our current tax rate?
1.9089.
Okay, so we need at this time, we need a motion to approve our tax rate, and I assume we're going to leave it exactly where it is.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? All in favor, say aye. Any opposed?
What's a penny generate, just so I can write it down here, Aaron?
740.
Yeah, about 740,000.
740?
Yep.
And what was that total tax rate? I ought to know, 1.9089?
Yes, 1.9089. I don't think you need me to break it down by fund, and it's just in the resolution, right?
Now, that leads to the question I always ask you. You've got your little magic machine and you print all this out. You know, I do resolutions for you, sometimes 2 or 3 pages, but not 80-something pages.
Yes, sir.
You got that one, right?
I do. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
You're a good man. Don't ever lose that program.
Okay, next thing we need to do is set the time for the public hearing. Being that
16.
being that there's not going to be much to talk about, let's not make it an hour before.
We did 6:30 last year.
Yeah, we did. Is there a motion for 6:30?
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to set the hearing at 6:30. All in favor, say aye. Any opposed?
It's June the 16th.
16.
Well, okay, I will ask again, is there any other business that needs to come before the Budget Committee, new or old?
Just one thing, I did speak with the mayor earlier today about whether we would still need to have a meeting on June the 5th, and we will. Unfortunately, just because we may have some last-minute cleanup stuff that needs to be done. So,
I think you're going to have some budget amendments too.
exactly. There'll be some regular budget amendments and, yeah, the regular meeting, yeah. And that'll be our last chance if we see that we're going to go over in a line or something like that. That's going to be our last chance to fix it. So,
And let me let y'all know that for information purposes, the mayor and I and Commissioner Rubens and a couple of gentlemen from the comptroller's office met today to talk about the property tax freeze. And I think we've got the wording straightened out on that and what we're gonna do. Now, if you're gonna have this budget meeting, I'll probably bring you that resolution. Or if not, we can substitute it on the floor that night, but we think we've got it locked down.
Good.
Make sure you have it on the agenda.
Yeah. Thursday night.
I'll get it on there. I'll make that request right now. Put that on the agenda. I'll send you an email.
Anything else? One other motion.
So moved.
Thank y'all, and